How much should you train? The first thing I want to talk about is on the topic of overtraining. The word overtraining should be changed to under recovery. It's not so much the hours that we spend training, but the inability to recover from those hours of training. Even when I was physically training the intense things for many hours a day, every day, I never made it close to overtraining. People tend to overdose on intensity and underdose on volume. And this is what leads to that possibility of overtraining. So they try to do the most advanced progression, the most complex thing, the most impressive feat that cannot be controlled. It can't be done with consistency. It's not repeatable. It's not reversible. And this is what can lead to these overtraining symptoms and getting towards that degree. If we remove some of our ego and practice at a lower intensity, but with a higher volume, we'll find that we're able to take a lot more and put a lot more time into our practice. The next question that comes up is, what are we training? What I see from a lot of people that say they are movement practitioners or movement teachers is that these people are really strength and conditioning coaches that like to do locomotion. And understanding that this is very different from a movement practice. And if you want to do that, that's fine. But we need to separate it from what a movement practice actually is, what we're actually practicing. So before going into this, I actually want to change a word that I've been using from train to practice. Practice has this connotation of you are an unfinished product. You're not working towards an end goal. You're not training for a marathon or training for a competition. You're practicing for your life. You are an imperfect human trying to be a little bit less imperfect. So you can see from a simple word change, we can say practice in practicing gardening, practicing our relationship, practicing cooking, practicing our mind, practicing our emotions. All of these can be inserted into a movement practice on top of proprioception work with the eyes, work with the ears, work with the senses, work with the taste. So it's not limited to physical expressions and the impressive feats. This is what is seen. But this is just an entry point for most people. It's a great point. It's something that is movement for sure, but it's also just part of it. Many people know that I train, or the better word, practice, 6 hours a day, and I've been able to keep this up for many years. People often wonder how I'm not overly fatigued, how I don't burn out or overtrain, and now we've kind of defined this. My recovery has been good. There's the conditioning aspect of building up towards that amount and not going straight into it. I find it very interesting how we separate training, like going to the gym or doing it in our home or outside, and training in the sense of other things that we do in life. For example, if you have an office job and you're sitting 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, you are training while you're sitting, just something you probably don't want. Shortening the hip flexors, getting some pain in the lumbar spine, having some roundness in the thoracic spine and the cervical spine. This is all training the body. You're training 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, just in something you probably don't want to train. So we need to switch our idea as to what is training, what is practicing. This is what I call the life practice. We separate our movement training, our job, our relationship, our driving into these separate cups that we have here, when in reality, they're all in the same ocean. I'm not going to finish a movement session and then say, okay, I'm done, I'm zoning out, I'm relaxing here. That's the exact opposite of what I want to do. I want to be as aware, as in the practice as I can my whole life, and I will fail every single day over and over again, going to sleep, becoming dreamy, zoning out. It'll happen. So I will consistently work with this, try to improve my ability to stay present. So in this way, we can see that everything is a practice. Making this YouTube video is a practice. I had to set up the camera a certain way. I had to make sure the audio was good. Maybe I failed in that. I have to redo the video. I have to think about the thumbnail, this artistic representation, how to edit it together, maybe putting clips in there. All of that is a great practice. And sometimes I get emails about becoming an editor for me or making my thumbnails. And if I hired these people, I would be able to put out more quality content, more of it, quality content and more of it, but I would lose the most important part, which is the practice of it. I would lose that completely. And to me, that's losing everything. So I will never hire someone to do these types of things for me because I enjoy the process even when I don't enjoy it. So now back to the big question, how much should we train or how much should we practice? I think by the end of this video, you know that it should be as much as we possibly can. So me saying I train 6 hours a day is a lie. I try to do all throughout the day, but I fail every single time. So maybe I have 6 hours of programmed work, but outside of that, I'm still in my body, I'm still in my life. So I continue to try to make cooking and my relationships and driving and walking around and talking to others a part of my practice, even if I fail over and over and zone out and all of this. I try to be attentive. I try to look people in the eye, look the camera in the eye, but I fail every day, and that's part of the practice. As a final question to you, do you practice or do you train based on how we described it here? What is the difference to you? And how much are you going to practice moving forward? Thank you for watching. That's the session.
我也不会，我看你肌肉很漂亮哦，要就好就好，两个手能两，瑜伽是两个手不行能跳得好，只要你能跳，他们瑜伽就是有氧空中瑜伽，你看他练的两个肌肉，真是，要是我买的房子。